Welcome back, everybody. If you took a short break, and I'm happy to see you again. So far, we have successfully uploaded our files to our GitHub repo. We have our collected Cloudinary and Supabase setup, and we have deployed our site using Vercel. We always want to use an incognito window. Okay, here is our site we have created so far. Excellent. All we did was change our hero background image. Let's just log back in again. Superb. And here we are. And now, as we can see, the actual Fluxedita package is fully responsive. We have no page links yet because we haven't set any, and we don't have a contact section yet outside of that. The page always responds whichever media device it's being viewed on. So we have our header. We may wish to change our name here, the links, etc., and we may wish to change our links down here in the footer. Now, as you can appreciate, we don't really have any links in our landing page yet. As this is a landing page, it is potentially an infinitely scrolling page. It can go on and on and on, depending on how many sections you want having. So what we would like to do now, in order to have actually areas of the page to link to, we need to create some sections. Let's create our contact section first. So we click on our page controls site that it's not in our default sections here. Up here in our page controls, we can customize this. And we can always reset them back to defaults. And we can go down here, and I'm going to choose the advanced form here. Now, when I do that, if I click save and close the page controls options there, you will see it's here. So this is very handy to know that you can turn these sections on or off. You can select them all if you wish. And if you save the changes, that's how you will see them in the future. If we add the form gets added to the page, as would any section, and they always appear at the bottom of the page. However, they're in basic view. Some sections would show very little information here. Just so happens that the public side of the contact form's very visible. In order to go into edit mode, we click on the page edit tab here, and then if I go down, you will notice there isn't any difference with the contact form because it's already edited, you see. However, if we enter another section, let's say a divider section, why not? We can see now if I was in normal view, you would just see the normal public-facing view. If I go into edit view, you see the actual edit functions we have here. For example, I can change that to 25% width. I can reduce the size of the merge, the thickness. Let's save that. Come back out. We can notice now we've got a very discrete divider there, and I can rearrange the position of this. Let's save that. And so on. And now our divider is here between our call to action section and our feature section here. Okay, so how does the contact know where to go to, or do we add a contact link to our page links up here? Okay, this is a very straightforward process, but it must be followed in this procedure. I advise refresh the page just to be clear. Okay, now I'm going to be in edit mode so we can see everything that happens, and it will appear at the bottom here what we're about to do. So we have a very specific section in here that's not in at default here, and it's called editable page title here. If we select that, I will save sidebar, and we're going to add the editable page editable page style section there. It's very important we follow this procedure. So as soon as we add the page title, we do not click save. We double click on that there, and we can change that. For example, I'm going to call this footer, and I'm going to say a line in the center. We can clearly adjust the style of the text, etc., but I don't need to on this occasion. Now, it knows it's called footer before I click save. Very important. If I'd have saved earlier, we'd have had the default title that came up when I entered the section. Now it is footer. I'm going to click save. Excellent. Now that we have our footer section, if we come back to the top here, we will notice there are no sections. we must give Supabase a chance to populate and tell us that I have done so. And if we simply Control-Shift-R, refresh the page fully, there we have our footer appeared in our drop-down nav menu like magic. And if we click on footer, it will take us to the footer of the page. So now we'd like one for our contact form. Once again, I will go back in edit mode, open the page controls sidebar, and this time I want the create an editable page title. I've added that simply by clicking on it. And before I do any saving, I'm going to call this contact us. Contact us. And we will send to that. I will save the changes first. Then I will move it up. I'll follow the contact form up, and we're just above the contact form here now. I can click Save Changes once again. Come out of page edit mode. We will notice it isn't here yet, so I will Control-Shift-P once again, Control-Shift-R once again to reset the whole page. And there we have our contactors. And if I click on that, it immediately takes us to our contact form of the contact that this is just slightly upscaled there. Like, excellent. And that's how easy it is to create navigation links to anywhere in your page, no matter how deep your page is. So it's worth noting there comes a point with all web pages that you don't want them to be too long or they will take forever to load. Fluxedita has a very clever feature built in. If we click on our page controls sidebar here, under the metadata here, you will notice we have an enable show more button. Now at the moment, by default, it's switched on. You can turn this off. I will leave it on. And also by default, it's set to 20 sections. As soon as you have entered 20 sections or more in the page, when your viewers visit this to your landing page, get to that section limit, they will see a show more tab, and then you can have infinitely more sections appear. Simply by clicking show more, this avoids the page being too long and heavy, so it doesn't take very long for your page to load. You can also adjust this to less sections or more sections, but that's in a more advanced section that we'll talk about later. But for now, we will leave this on, and it would only become apparent visible if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, the headings are also call sections. 6, so we're already at 7. So if we got to 20 each, we probably will very soon, you will see that up here. And at this stage, you can have as many sections using same techniques to your heart's content. And once again, following the procedure we did for the footer and the contact us sections, you'd create as many links in your nav menu appear as you would like. Okay, I think one final note to mention here is, for example, if we click on footer, you will notice your navbar URL up here tells you where that link is. Whenever you create a link in your drop-down menu, let's do the contact us, you will notice you get the link address up there. Now, all we would ever need is up to the /. You do not need HTTPS because it's within your local application. I Control-C that now, for example, and I go back into edit mode. Now, what we got here, we've got these all just linked back to our root page. So if I was to say there, we took the contact us. So let's say contact us. And we can say whatever we would like in there. And that would clearly on the button say contact us. And remember, this could appear anywhere in the page. And we simply remove that /. Remember, all we need is a /# and whatever's a link URL shows you up here. And we click Save Changes. Excellent. And we will do this one as the footer. Now, it will follow the same fashion. I just happen to know the address. And we will say save on that one too. And why not say go to footer? Okay, and we will save that. And now if we come back to the public-facing view, we will see I'll just try and be as high as I can so we see the page move. Contact us would take us to the contact form in that link section, and the footer would take us to the footer. It really is that straightforward, and now you can see infinitely, you can create your actual public-facing landing page. And hopefully just by experimenting with them, you can get a gentle introduction, but there'll also be the more advanced how-to videos later. We really want to focus on the core functions here. So the next thing we really want to do is edit our header and edit our footer. Certainly now that we've got some links especially. And in order to do that, we're going to go back to our code editor. We need to come into our components directory. So if we click on the little arrow there, we can come down, and the files that are still within this directorate, we see here our header and footer. So let's just focus on our header for now. If we click on that file, if I just did, this is our header. Do not be daunted by this. We are only interested in certain things, and that is to tell it now belongs to us. For example, if we go back to our browser and my incognito window here, our site is called Fluxedita with the heart icon, custom landing page package. That's your first clue. We can search Fluxedita, we can search custom landing page package, and that will take you to the correct section in the header. Now, let's assume I don't know where it is. If I'm inside that page and I hold the control key and press F, control F, we get the find. This is your magic tool throughout this whole application. For now, I'm going to type our name, Fluxedita, and you will see exactly what I mean. The first thing we really want to be sure is that the entry for Fluxedita, there is only one in this whole page here, so we know it's the one we're looking for. But you'd want to be sure it is the correct one. In our case, we have Fluxedita, 3 spaces. Then we have our heart symbol. Then we have custom landing page package. This relates very clearly. Fluxedita, heart, custom landing page package. So we know we're in the right area. Now, let's go back into VS Code. And ours is now called Digital Media Store. So I'm going to click there, select the whole word, Fluxedita, and replace it with digital. And I will leave that there. You will see that VS Code tries to suggest things for you, but you can actually ignore that. I don't want Fluxedita. I just want digital. And where we got custom landing page package there, I'm going to replace that with Media Store. Okay. Ultimately, and then I can change the symbol here if I like as well. I won't bother at this stage. You can get a full list of symbols. They're all Tailwind CSS classes and Lucid icons, fully supported, and there are many, many to choose from. It's much better to use an icon in your header rather than actually use a logo like some people do. However, it's entirely up to you. But the correct way to do it ideally would be with a Lucid icon, as this way it'll be fully responsive across all media platforms. Okay, so we have this white symbol here, the white circle indicating there are changes to be made, and if I go Control S, that will now save those. The white circle is gone, and this file has now gone yellow, indicating we have some changes to be pushed to our GitHub. Okay, now if I go back to my browser, to my incognito window, whether I refresh this or not, this will not have changed. Quite simply because if we go to our main window, we haven't pushed the changes to our GitHub repo. Therefore, our Vercel has not been updated with the changes we've made yet. So we don't need to worry about that at this stage. The changes we're making here inside our VS Code are local. We have yet to push them up to the remote cloud. If we have more changes to make, it's wise to do them all in one go. Okay, so essentially now all we have done is changed our business name in the header. We know we've got the contact us link there, and at the moment, it's going to the hashtag contact us. The only other link we have in the nav that header is contact us. Now, why don't we put another one in there? And I'm going to do that by copying that. Control C, do I want it before or after contact us? I notice how it's inside the section drop down here. I'm going to say I want it before contact us, because I haven't created this link yet. I'm thinking ahead. So I'm just going to format so it looks exactly the same as everything else. Now, why have I put this link here? Well, automatically it's give me all the correct formatting. I know in the future I'm going to create a link in the page. It's going to go to products. So I'm going to call that products. I also know when I create the link, I'm going to call the link products. So for now, I can safely assume once I create this section in the page, I will save to be able to link to it. So I will Control S and I've saved that. Okay, now what else do we need on this page? Okay, so we go back to my incognito window. I don't want my links to be called set your own page links, but that conveniently tells me what the section's called. So set your own page links, if we use the same process, go back to our VS Code. There we go. You see how just a word set there with loads of entries, but the more I type, and here is the actual word set your own page link. So I'm going to alter that now to say what I want the title of my drop-down menu to be. In my case, I will just say links. I just say page links. In your case, you can call it whatever you like. So, if I save that now, when I go back and we've pushed our changes, so now we've changed the company name, we've changed the title of the drop-down links navbar, and we've added another link here called products for the future yet to be placed section in the page. Okay, so the next thing, let's look at our footer down here. Okay, let's go back to our code editor. We can happily close that now once we're finished. And our footer is also in our components directory here, in the same directory as our header. And I will click on footer there. Okay, so what have we got to go on? Again, we have our blueprint here, essentially telling us everything we would like. So I want to Fluxedita, that needs changing again. So if I go into my page editor here, so now I'm going to do Control F once again. I will assume I don't know where it is. Type Flux and there's the first title. And we want to call this our excellent. It's Digital Media Store, and I want to find the other entry. Fluxedita's custom landing page. And we will call this our one-page digital media store. And that's all. If we got one more, we have, and this now would be all rights reserved for our store. And then also we can edit these links here in exactly the same way as we've done previously. Okay, let's find one that we might want to change. So we've got, go back to our blueprint here. We can leave our social media links for now. We have 2 about links. Let's focus on them. And these can refer to different sections in the page later when we've created them. If we focus on the 2 generic about links here, so let's come back to our VS Code editor. We'll start at the top. Type about. Once again, if I wanted to add more links, the simplest thing to do would be take a complete link. Here you can see in the links we have a list item li, the link in the center, and then closing the list item here. If we copy that, we can paste as many as we like. We'll leave the first about as it is, but our second about here, we'll change that to contacts. And we know the link for contacts now. It's within our page contact. Excellent. So now we have a link to about as well, but we do need to change where that link might be, and we haven't created it yet. But when we do, we know we will call it about in that page. Okay? So ultimately, that's what we have at the moment. We don't need to do any more right now. It's essentially to give you a starting point. So if we go Control F again on that. So now we have edited our header navbar and our footer. Now, the next thing we must do is update the application and tell it who is the email account holder for the application. In other words, who's going to receive the emails, the recipient of the emails when your customers use your contact form on your landing page. There's a very simple way of doing this. There's a very comprehensive guide here, configure contact form, and that will take you through the whole process from start to finish. Very useful for developers who want to develop the application further. However, all we need to do is click on Edit at the top here. Come down to Replacing All Files. Now, your keyword here is example@example.com. If we type that in the search, example, and then we replace that, you'll notice you've seen 19 results in 13 files. Would have taken a short while to do all that manually. If you click in the replace box and place the name of your admin user in here, ideally the same admin user we've been using throughout, but it's not 100% essential. It's just nice for consistency. And here we can click Replace All. And there we will see all 19 occurrences across 13 files will be replaced with our new genuine admin user, not the example at example.com. So we will go replace on that. Excellent. Now all of this work that we found in this file has been done for us. Again, this is very useful for future reference. And if we come back over to our twin page, it's Explorer View. And that is the email admin side complete for your landing page application. Any visitors to your website who send you a message, they will be received by the recipient that we've just added in our edit replace from this point forward. So now what we would like to do is push all of our recent changes to our GitHub repo so that they can be pushed to the Vercel. We go back over here. Our GitHub repo, if we go over here, you can see our initial push was some time ago. Might be a little bit longer for yourself, but that's irrelevant. So essentially, what we would like to do is push our changes to our Git. Okay, so we have all these yellow or labeled files that need to be repushed up to GitHub. And if we go down to our files here, you will see the GitHub initialization upload guide once again. And we have the set of commands you need here now. So if we take the Git status, you don't want the extra spaces, we'll click back into our terminal, paste that there. It tells us we have a whole host of modified files. So I'm going to say at them all Git space, full stop, enter, and then we can push our latest changes again, avoid spaces. This is where we could put in the message saying what our changes were. I will just leave it as push latest changes, but as a general rule, this is a comment that will remind you of which changes you made, and indeed any others that we're working on your project possibly. If we enter that, and it can tell us there's now 13 files there. Copy, Control-C that. We have 13 files, 19 insertions, 19 deletions, 30 old emails, etc. And we go Git push once again. You will be given your authorization window. We will say, yes, we want to push our changes. Our changes will now be pushed to our repository. And if you just give it a couple of minutes, as I have here, and refresh the page, the updates we just made inside GitHub should automatically be updated inside the cell. And if we visit our domain now, we will notice our changes have been applied. I didn't change the icon, digital media though. We added some page links there. What we have learned so far, how to edit our header and the header links, how to add links to our page links, navigation drop-down menu there that can infinitely link to sections in your page, how to edit the footer, how to add sections, title sections for your navigation link up here. So if we stick with the theme that I'm going to create my digital media store. Let's add some sections. We would like to think that the contact would be lower down in the page as you want your customers to see the content first. So before we do that, let's close our stamped browser window. We are going to copy our URL once again. And I'm going to re-enter my incognito window, as we always want to edit inside a private incognito window to avoid any conflicts as mentioned earlier. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom, I'm going to reload back in, and click poking. And there we go. So what we would like to do is create a section now above our footer. Let's say below our introduction, we would have said a little bit more here, a little bit more here, a little bit more here, but now I want to add some products. So let's enter page edit mode. And I'm going to add our media placeholder here. So I'll click on that, close him. We'll say save so it's there for my future use. And there's our new media placeholder. Once again, I'm going to click add. There it is at the bottom of our page. Now, our media placeholders are exactly what they say. They allow you to add media cards and media placeholders within each card. They're quite unique, certainly unique to Fluxedita. So we can show anything from 1 to 6 cards across the page. And once again, we can choose full viewport width, etc. But we can add up to 30 cards in each section. So for example, if I add 1 card per page, and I add more than 1 card, let me just quickly do that. And then I will add another card. We get this little scroll bar here to go to the second card, or click on the media. I'm just going to add anything at the moment. And I'm going to add another card. So we have 3 cards now. Go across to the third card. And as you can see, each card's editable. I'm going to just show that they can take image or video files. So let's click save on that and let's see what we've done. So basically, we've added 3 media cards. We haven't formatted them in any way at this stage. However, each card, when we click on them, they will open in a lightbox window, and you can navigate to any other card in that lat section. And as I say, you could have up to 30. So whether we display 1 card here, which then the user could scroll through them all, or, as we've added 3 cards here, if I was to say, show 3 cards per page, and I click Save Changes, and we'll come out of edit mode, you'll notice now there is no scroll anymore because the section contains 3 cards, but it's also showing 3 cards. However, if I'd have actually said this 3 plus cards, I would have had a scroll to move on. And any one of the placeholders will lead to all the placeholders in that section, should the user wish to scroll through in that way. It's a very, very useful way to have a lot of content in a very small space. We can also duplicate this section. And we can actually say, for example, with this one, show 2 cards per page. And we will add a couple more. So we will add a couple of more now. Just to illustrate the point, we will have to skit across to that. We'll just add anything that comes handy at this stage. We will add another card. Scroll across to the right, see our final card we've added there. And we'll keep this one a few. If I save changes once again, and we come out of there, we still see we only have the 2 sections. However, we now have to scroll. Oh, apologies, I didn't save, I don't think, but that doesn't matter. Let's come back in there. There was 1 card I didn't populate. Scroll over to the right. There we go. And we will keep this basketball. Oh, donut, why not? And once again, save changes. Come out of edit mode. And you can see now it's been added to our list, and I am now going to just make some simple changes to the padding. I can obviously change the background color there as well, and I want to change this to full viewport width. And I'm now going to say, how many did we add? 6? I'm not sure. We only added 5, so let's stick to the 5. That was also adjust the width there to none so that he can respect to break out of the container. And this is where you'll see the more significance of the padding here. It's changed them all to 2. Okay, and we will click save once again. And each one can have their own descriptions, titles, etc. Okay, let's add another section. I'll go back into edit mode, open the page control sidebar. Let's have a feature card grid section. And you notice these all have section IDs used for nav links where necessary, in exactly the same way this was the section ID relating to this link should you wish to create a page navbar link. So what are we going to do here? Once again, we can say 2, 3, or 4 in this instance, but we can choose the number of cards per row. We'll stick to the default 3. Each card can contain media once again, whether it's an image, video, stick with another image, why not? And each card can link somewhere. So let's say this one can link to contact, why not? Contact us, I believe it was. If we were unsure, remember, we can always check on by following that link there. I will save that. For the sake of being consistent, we can also link to our footer based on the page links we have available, of course. And we could link to an external website as well, of course, if we wanted to. So let's do that on this occasion. And that one's going to link in a new tab on this occasion to Google. So let's save that. And I'm also going to add a small divider here. I've added all of my sections. Select all restore to defaults. So I've just left them all in here for now. Oops, close that. And I'm looking for my divider. There we go. And in my divider there, I'm just going to use my usual setting for I just like a discrete divider. What's very interesting here as well is we can adjust the height of the margin. We can adjust the margins on the divider there. I save this time. And we come out up there. You will notice the margin between the divider and the section below or aft. There. Is affected directly by that. Can also duplicate the divider now, so this saves this having to repeat settings. So I will send that one up there. I'm going to duplicate him again and send him up there. Let's close that. Apologies, I never saved. We can always go back in and save. It's so easy to lose changes when we forget to do this. Well, apart from a little bit of reorganizing, I am actually just going to fix this because you'd be thinking, why does that look like that? We said 3 rows per page. What we've actually got, how many cards did we actually have? We have 4 cards here, so I'm going to stick to showing 4. And what else do we have? So we had our contact form there. So now let's move our contact form down because we would like that in the foot of our page. So we need to move the contact form down. Once again, just follow it all the way down the page. Logically, we would have these in the correct order and it would save them moving from down the page. Clearly, you would have your concept form last them to normal situations, but I'm just giving you a clear examples of how easy it is to move all these around. So let's take our contact form down. After all, that is the link that takes us to the contact form. Remember, our editable title section. We might as well be finished with this one first. Sorry. Take him all the way down. You can see why you would do them in order to save a little bit of time, but that's not to say in the space of a couple of ticks you can't put it where you want it. So now we're just above there. Divider there. Now we're above the contact form, but we also want the footer to be at the bottom because that's also one of our section links. You wouldn't necessarily have a link like that. It's again, just for example purposes, showing you how easy this is to create navigation and control over your page. There we go. So if I save changes now, and we just come out of our page, come back in public facing mode. So we've edited our header, we've edited our footer, we can edit to our apps content the hero section, our title, etc. We can edit our CTA section, different background colors. The link can take your uses to an external source. We've added some dividers. This one's still got 2 REM either side. We've added our media card section, which can contain up to 30 media cards containing images and videos, and each card will lead to all cards in that section, which is very useful for navigation. You can see your description will come down here as well, should we have filled one in. And we've created our feature card width section here, another editable title page link here, and obviously our contact format footer there. I'm going to add just one more in this tutorial. We will add our info card grid, which is very nice. Footer section, I always find. We'll go into edit mode, and we can adjust the background. Let's give it a nice food-related background. We can adjust the blur on the background image. Anything from 0 onwards, clearly. Internet might be a bit strong. I'm going to just create a simple card here again. We won't bother filling in too much detail. I'm just really going through the process of showing you that you can actually add up to 3 cards in this section. Again, it can be mixed media. Each one can have their own internal CTA link or an external tab once again. We'll just add some titles in there or it'll look unbalanced. Out of any web page design is balancing your sections, balancing your cards, always next to the user experience so much better. Is there anything else I need to do there? I don't think so. Let's just click save, and we will come out of there, and we have a really beautiful info card section. Now, what is all the space for here? Exactly. So we can either have it full height as it is, have it centered, and again, let's just show you what this looks like. So the cards are essentially wrapped by the background image, and we can make it a tight wrap also. We click save on that. Come out. You can see now it just tightly wraps them. And we can also do full viewport width and adjust our margins. If we're going full viewport width, we don't want them touching the sides, so I'm going to say 2 vertical, maybe 1 horizontal, 1 vertical, 2 horizontal. Click save. This is the beauty of Fluxedita and the editable section components. Essentially, no 2 need to be the same. You can, so many variations. So now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to say tight wrap, I'm going to say full height, and I'm going to give us a background. So we can say show title, and we can say main title. I will just say main description. And we can obviously adjust the style again. Let's say full background color, a small bit of blur. 4, 3. I don't want any outline. On this occasion, I've got my blur. Nope, we're okay there. Let's have a look. And then what I can actually do there, I can see what I've done. Now, obviously, the size is far too small, so let's go back into our main title. And we can adjust the size here, font size. Let's take it to 3, so, oh, I think I've gone 33. 3 so we can see it. I will make it bold. And I'm going to also adjust the margin there. Let's give it 2. And you can see it moving down there. So I'm going to say I'm happy with that. I will save at this stage, because again, we're in incognito window. And same with my description. I'm going to say make it 100% visible. I don't want an outline. Not a fan of applause. And let's do this. We'll do a little bit deeper this time. 4. The size, we'll just make this one 2. And I will leave him as he is for now. And we'll just change the area on this 2. So let's see where we are. Okay, that's about right from me at this stage. Now I'm going to close the main description, save that once again. You will notice I also have a main tile padding. And I'm going to change that to 8 just for example's sake. That we've done so much further down. But change it back to 6, back to 4, back to 8. Okay, and I might even just make my title a little bit bigger. 4 area. And then just adjust the spacing once again there to match. Excellent. Click on save. And just to give an illustration there now of why and how you would use the tile section and why you would have it full height rather than just tightly wrapped. Okay, the only thing I want to do now is move the footer link back down to the footer. Now, what we're actually going to do here, just for the purpose of this exercise, is make this very small. We already know it's white. Don't give any background. Don't give any outline. And we don't want any other styling. We'll save them, right? So now if we go back up to our page links, contact us will take us to our contact form. The footer will take us to our footer. You can see how easy it is now to create a very media-rich landing page that'll support your marketing campaign, promotion, current project, whatever it is you wanted to create. Infinitely, make your website design easy, user-friendly, visual, a great user experience. Depending on your content that your landing page is going to have, you may want to have some legal documents. If you don't, you can just simply remove or edit these in the... Let's go back to our VS Code editor here. In the VS Code editor, I will remind everyone, we're inside the components folder here. And there is your header and footer here. Now we can adjust those links and repush them as we just did with GitHub. And these can be anything that you like. However, you may require documents in your page. We have a very useful section in here called the privacy section. Regardless of the name is just a title. We can call this anything we like, and it's geared specifically for any legal documents you need to have in your page. All right, policies. You can add as much or as little information here as you'd like as when you add them to your page, and we can link to them in all the ways we just mentioned before. It will only show the first couple of lines, and then it'll give your readers an opportunity to read the rest of the document in a pop-up window. Absolutely superb. Really useful feature, which means you can have all your legal documents, which then these can technically link to in the ways we've just described, discreetly at the bottom of your page, just above your footer, and your compliance waiver laws and regulations are required even in a single landing page, because we can have as many policies as we like. Let's go back into edit mode. We'll add one more. It's down the bottom here somewhere. A privacy section. I'm going to call this one cookies. That's my cookies policy. Saved. Done. And the guide will open up and show the full policy in as much detail as you've got to give. Very, very useful feature. Okay, so we've covered the basics of having as many sections as you like and how they all follow the same style and format, etc. for editing and making them your own. Okay, so we've covered how to edit your header and footer, how to add sections, how to add internal page links, and there's so much more to explore and discover in here. We can adjust so many different features, but that's more for exploratory. You want the video going on forever. The next key thing to note that even though this is a landing page, we still have our admin pages. So if we click type after the /admin in our URL, you will see your landing page is a little bit more than a landing page. You can view your analytics. You can view your content, your media managers in here. Yes, this is the Cloudinary Media Library we've already connected. It was as simple as we've done in our tutorial installation video. And then all files available in your Cloudinary Media, you can manage directly here within your Fluxedita application. We can select a file. Is there a file I don't want to keep? Let's say, let's delete our logo. And there it is gone. We can upload a file. So we can upload files in the same way. Let's go to our downloads. Public. Let's upload our Fabricon. Let's go back to our home page there. And if we go back now to our... We have to type this in because it's an admin root. And we go back to our content. You'll see the logo is there now, and the previous logo is gone. A really, really excellent feature. The admin dashboard is available in all Fluxedita packages, including the landing page package, and it's extremely useful when it comes to managing and editing any media that you have in your application. So let's go back to our main page now, and we'll see everything that we've done there. Excellent. Let's close this now. And we will go back to our main browser window, essentially to simulate it back to a Control-C that. Let's open a brand new browser. Because then I will plugged in, obviously. Not now. And now we're seeing what your customers would see. Everything we've done, all the changes live, all edited instantly. All features working. And you're now essentially set to edit your website, get it the way you want it to be, and then let the whole world know that your single landing page exists. I hope you enjoyed this more advanced editing tutorial. I will be certainly adding more tutorial videos to the series, so please subscribe and like, and you'll be the first to be informed of the next videos and tutorials that are published. Thank you for watching.